Ladies and gentlemen, do not adjust your sets. That's right. Do not adjust your sets. This is the Black Baseball Mixtape. I am your host, Cheats, and it is Thursday night. So we are live with the guy himself, Lewis Brinson. Lou, how are you feeling, my man?
I'm feeling good, man. Just another Thursday. I played a little golf today, man. Got out there, starting to get hot in South Florida, though. I can't lie.
Look, I was asking you earlier before Lewis Brinson, how do we start our days? How do we go through our days?
Right.
I know it's a process. Look, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to a couple other things because we have a very, very special guest who we're gonna bring on for this podcast episode. I'm really excited to have him on the show. Before we do that, let's take care of a little bit of business. As always, the Black Baseball Mixtape is brought to you in partnership with Stilo Sports, the Players Alliance, Numbers Game Scorecards, Rebellion Harvest Sunflower Seeds, Minority Prospects, who's about to have a huge weekend in Charlotte. So shout out to everybody at Minority Prospects, baseball and softball, and Red, Black, and Green Baseball. We just put up a post on Instagram highlighting all the work on the Black Baseball Mixtape blog. You can check out a lot of that on the blog itself. Red, Black, and Green Baseball. Shout out to our guy Pat is a big part of that as well. A lot going on. A lot going on in the world of baseball. I'm really, really excited to get into some of it with Lewis Brinson. Lou, before we bring on our guests, I want to ask you two things because the people need to know how you start your day. We want to know how you start your day, but then other than that too, I do want to know what's top of mind. What's the biggest thing in your world as you've been watching baseball the last week or so, or since the last time we visited?
The biggest thing in the baseball world to me right now. I mean, there's a lot going on, man. There's there's a lot going on. I mean, for me, obviously the big news today with the integration of the softball league and professional women's softball league and MLB partnering up to create that softball league and MLB partnering and putting their stamp on that is definitely huge for women across the nation, softball lovers across the nations. I think that's a huge deal for women in baseball, women in softball as well, to get them their own league and then have MLB back them. I saw the interview with Kim Ng today and Rob Manfred on MLB Central, and just explaining all the different things that they have coming and the different teams and how they're going to format it all. And it sounds really, really dope. And I can't wait to go watch one. Go watch a game.
So for those who are new to the situation or haven't been following, it was announced today. Now, Athletes Unlimited is a softball league. They announced. I guess they had kind of started playing maybe even a couple of years ago, but they announced that a huge kind of restructuring with a draft and different teams that are really going to go make a real run at professional softball. It was announced today that Athletes Unlimited has partnered with the MLB. The MLB actually put a major investment into this professional softball league. Commissioner Manfred, and you said Kim Yang, also, who is the commissioner of this of the league. And so it is indeed a big deal, a big partnership, and really another watershed moment for women's sports in the sense of what we're seeing now with kind of the explosion of the WNBA, obviously following, preceding that, the explosion of NCAA women's basketball, who was outdrawing the men in certain instances. Now in WNBA is getting record attendance, record television ratings. We were talking before the show started about how global women's soccer is, and most people now follow the National Women's Soccer League and the players that play for Team USA there. So it is this huge movement that is, that I feel like baseball is getting into, Major League Baseball is getting into in supporting Athletes Unlimited.
Absolutely. Supporting these women playing softball, man. They definitely need it, and they definitely could use the exposure. And now they don't have to stop at college. Now you have something to look forward to after college. for these women in softball, and I think it's great. Like I said, I think it's awesome for the sport. I think it's awesome for them and their families. And again, the young girls that are getting taught softball, or these young girls that are wanting to play softball past college, and there just wasn't anything. Now you have this, and you have MLB back in them. I think it's huge, and that's huge. There's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of stuff going on in baseball right now. But just to hear that today was
and you picked a softball topic.
Way to go, right? Lou. A lot of that, it just popped up today.
I would be remiss if I did not mention what's been in my timeline and my mentions this entire, I guess, last 48 hours, and that's a discussion about TA7, Tim Anderson, who was recently designated for assignment with the Angels. This was ideally, now and again, last year, Tim Anderson started the season with the Marlins. That was supposed to be his kind of comeback season, if you will. It did not work out. And then so Ron Washington and the Angels picked him up this year. And most people believe that this is Tim Anderson's kind of last best shot. Tim Anderson is not that old in that sense. He's 2 full seasons removed from being one of the best hitters, one of the best hitters in baseball. So there's a lot of he's kind of a lightning rod player, right? Like Jazz Chisholm's a lightning rod player. Tim Anderson is a lightning rod player. You post anything about Tim Anderson, there's going to be people saying all different types of things. So the news that TA7 was designated for assignment, now at this point, there's an opportunity for him to clear waivers, see if another team picks him up. Then if he clears, then there's an opportunity for them to offer him minor league contracts. Obviously, the Angels, who now have more brothers in Sacramento than just about any team that I've seen. We're doing the count. In Sacramento alone, Chucky Robinson's there. Christian Moore is there. Kyron Paris is now in Sacramento.
Salt Lake.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of players. Tukey Toussaint, who's been on the show, a guest of our show, friend of yours. Excuse me, I said Sacramento. They're all in Salt Lake. They're all the Salt Lake Bees. But yeah, TA7. That's going to be now. Before we bring on our special guest, and we're going to bring him on really shortly, do you think this is the last best chance for Tim Anderson, or do you think it's kind of that ship has sailed?
It looks like it. It looks that way, just because of his uprising for those 2 years and best hitter in the league, for a 2-3 year span there, winning multiple batting titles and just being, like you said, just an electrifying player, top shortstop in the game at one point, you know what I'm saying? So, and then just to kind of obviously going through rough patch off the field and just couldn't really get it going. I know a lot of stuff off the field. You got a lot of stuff going on off the field. It definitely affects you in between the lines. So I think that was a big contributor to that, and looks like he's just, kind of fallen off for whatever reason. Like I said, has some off the field issues, but I hope it's not, just because of who Tim Anderson is to the game and who he was for a minute in there with the White Sox. But this seems like it might be his last kind of push that maybe MLB might give him. And I hate to say it, but it's just, you kind of read the room and stuff like that. And like I said, hopefully, he has a spot on somebody else's roster. If not, maybe he takes his assignment in AAA and tries to work his way back and just kind of get his footing back and kind of get back to the roots in AAA and try to get that feeling and that confidence back. Hopefully he can pull it together, but I hope a team picks him up. We'll see.
I do too. Obviously, we ride pretty hard here for Tim Anderson, especially the podcast crew on Monday nights and the team there. I really think there was a little bit more. Obviously, there was a lot of off the field stuff that took place that was kind of more tabloidish. And I mean, these are things that are going on in his personal life. But then there are things that are going on in his personal life where the world has to have commentary on. And then I think he alluded to this before the start of the season. He was fighting an injury last season when it came to his wrist and his hands and feel. And he was saying openly, like, I've got to get my feel back. I got to get my feel back swinging. And so I think he was in a place, especially early on. I can't speak for the duration of the season, but so far. But he was in a place where he was happy with the game. He was just showing up and going to work. But I do think that there was a part of his physical that was like, man, I got to get my feel back. So I think given that, ideally, I would think if indeed it ever does come back, then he may not be the hitter he once was, but he could be a very solid contributor to a franchise. And I've just seen the way that certain teams are using certain players. I
Mm-hmm.
definitely think that TA could do that, but it's got to be
A veteran
right. It's
presence in
got
the
to
locker.
be
Yeah.
him going to the ballpark, being happy to be at the ballpark,
Right.
doing the work that he needs to do, and getting that feel back. And so maybe that's an opportunity
Mm-hmm.
in AAA if another team doesn't pick him up. I don't. That's the interesting thing. The going down and going up, and we'll talk about this with you. We'll talk about this with our special guest. That sometimes can have a mental toll, a wear and tear.
Oh
And
yeah.
even if you know you're going down to get right, a la Will Benson type, there's no guarantee that you go up and hit 5 home runs in 4 days like Will Benson did. Right.
Right. Shout out my boy
So,
Willie B.
shout out
Willie
Willie B.
Bean.
Yeah,
Willie
I think
Bean.
it's time, man. We have a very special guest. I know he's a friend of yours, near and dear to your heart.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
excited to bring him on right now. Check it out, everybody
Boy,
at the
Niko.
mixtape. Yo, shout out, Niko Goodrum is here. Clap it up
Clap it
for
up.
him.
Clap it up.
Oh
Clap it up.
man,
Clap it up.
I'm excited. I don't look. I love giving bios, but I hate to say things wrong, especially when our special guest is here. But I definitely want to highlight a couple of things, and just the biggest thing is I want to say a career that was 7 years in Major League Baseball. Like 7 years.
Yeah.
I think you broke into the bigs when you were about 25 years old. Is that right?
Yep.
And played on several teams. And just recently, Niko, I don't know if it's a shocking announcement to you because you made the decision, but for a lot of us watching and following and seeing the way that you played the game and the passion you played it with, and especially over the last couple of years, probably about the timing was a little taken aback that you decided that now is the time, most recently, to spend some more time with your family, spend more time working on the other things that you're doing in media and all kinds of stuff in entrepreneurship. So just recently, you announced that you are hanging up the spikes and moving on to other things. I'm gonna start there, but I also want to stop talking. Welcome you to the podcast, and then Lou. Like again, I love introductions, but I don't want to say them wrong. You have a relationship with Niko as well. If you wanted to give a quick introduction before we start, look, pelting them with questions.
No, man. I mean, if you don't know now, you know. My boy Niko. I mean, like you said, played 7 years in the big leagues. Probably everybody recognizes him from his time in Detroit. Mm-hmm. World Series champ. Let's not forget that. Got a ring with the Astros, and that's how me and Niko first met in spring training, then in AAA with the Astros, and created a bond and a friendship that is last today. And obviously, we're going into a little business together, and what we have with the podcast and everything. But yeah, man, he's a very, very good friend of mine. Grown to love his family and his 2 daughters, and yeah, man, just. I'm glad to have him on the show, man. This is gonna be fun. A lot of interesting topics, and Niko ain't scared to tell it like it is. So I can't wait.
Well, look, we are honored, my brother. We're honored to have you on. Excited to talk to you. I always like to start where we are now, and then we'll go back to the beginning and hear as your journey as you've gone through baseball, especially being from Atlanta, being a black baseball player. We know that there's a special level of sauce to that. So, but I want to start with where we are now. And a lot of folks only saw maybe your social media post or maybe saw some comments in the press. How did you get to your decision as you are now, 33 years old, hopefully, still healthy in that sense? How did you get to the decision where now was the right time to, move on and work on other things?
Yeah, so that's one of the questions I get is like, when did you know? How did it happen? When would I be? And my decision was pretty easy because I woke up in a hotel on a Friday and said I'm retiring. And I called my agent, called my dad, called my wife, and my agent called the Mets and was like, hey, yeah, Nico wants to retire today. And it was the time because I didn't even know I wanted to do it, but I had such a peace over me
Mm,
when I woke up, and it was sitting heavy, with that decision, just like, man, you're not in this no more. And so I can still do it. Like right now I can get up and do it. Me
mm,
being off for what, a month now,
mm,
is I did that twice where I sat for 3 weeks straight, didn't pick up a ball, didn't pick up a bat, didn't stretch nothing. And I came back like, hey, yeah, give me 2 days and I'll be ready. So it had nothing to do with my ability to play the game at a high level or anything like that, or injuries. It was just really my heart wanted to go in another direction.
mhm,
And I just didn't, I didn't want to keep fighting that and dealing with it and seeing how, the business of baseball changed, especially for, black athletes. And that's a thing
mhm,
that, they don't want to talk about, but it's different out there for us.
mhm,
So I much rather have, came back with the family and enjoyed time with them finally, after 16 years of, doing this. You miss a lot of things and a lot of time is lost that you can't get back. So this is kind of just where I want to be at, and we figure things out from there.
I think I already know the answer to this, but I'm gonna ask anyway. What is the best part? Now I know you said you're at peace. I know you
Yeah.
made this. What's the best part of where you are right now today? What's the best part of not having to wake up in random
My
hotels and go to
gosh.
the ballpark?
Yeah. I see. The part that went, you want to retire when you no long. The only thing I wanted to do was show up and get in the hot tub. Once I got out that hot tub, I wanted to shower, put my
Go
clothes
home.
on, and go back to the hotel or go like. That's how when
Yep. Yep.
you're on the road and you like, my gosh, that 1 o'clock bus is finna. That's how you're supposed to go home, right? And
Mhm.
that was the cue. But the best part now is literally doing whatever I want to do.
Mhm,
Like your freedom, having your freedom back, where you're bound to something when you're in the season. Like I can't do anything.
mhm,
The birthdays you miss,
mhm,
right? The family reunions you miss. Um, just seeing your family. As we get older, so do our people, right?
mhm,
Mhm.
And it hit me hard when I went to Korea to play, and my family couldn't go out there. It was my wife, but I'm used to seeing my dad and my mom and brother and stuff, right? They can pull up, but at that, going to Korea, ain't nobody flying 20 hours. We'll catch you.
right.
We'll catch you on the
We'll
We
see.
radio.
catch
You know what I
We'll
catch
mean?
on
see
the
when you
back.
But
get
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
yeah, so the best part is just being home with the family, man, and away from baseball. Like I didn't have the want to do that, play that game anymore at that level.
Cheat. So I got a question real quick.
Yeah.
So I find it interesting, like when guys are done, like talking to the different guys that are on the fence of being done or already done, and I get this question sometimes, like, what do you miss about the game? Most about the game.
It's
Obviously, a lot of
it's
guys.
real soon, Lou.
Oh yeah.
Is
Yeah.
is he gonna miss anything yet?
No, I mean,
No,
listen.
it's it.
You miss
Yeah,
you miss some things, but like, what's some, because the big leagues is the big leagues. I mean, a
Right,
lot of guys is like, man, I just
right.
missed the show. But what's something, I think we've talked about it, Nico. But for the people watching, what's something that you're, you know, gonna miss if you've had that time to kind of
yeah.
think about that?
Um, you miss the camaraderie of your peers for real. It's something that you're used to for years of just all right, your teammates, no matter what team you are, the ones you're going to
Mm,
war with. So that's the thing you'll miss. As far as me, um, in the game, man, game hard, right? The
mm-hmm,
game is a hard game, so it's just like once you're done, I'm done. Like I'm done
Mm,
because I may have a little, flashes here and there of like, oh man, I can do that, right? Oh, I can do that, right? And you start to realize as soon as you feel that, hamstring, little sore, you like, then your hip hurt. Now your back hurt. You know what I mean? Your shoulder,
yeah.
and then you just realize, what am I
absolutely.
doing? Like, and you know, I would just say the camaraderie. To be honest, bro, I can't really see me. But I enjoy working too, though. That's the
Mm-hmm.
thing that people don't understand well fully about me is that I had to work. I was talent like, dumb talented. Like I had the ability, whatever. You can't, for me to play shortstop, then go play first in center field and let
Mhm.
like it was whatever. But
And
um
switch it. Let's not
yeah,
forget.
switch,
And switch.
like, but I enjoyed working hard. Like
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to just, if people talking about the challenges of switching, I didn't care about, man. I didn't care about no stats.
Mhm.
Like what he said, you swing this left-handed and right, brother. I'm playing this for a whole nother reason. I think that's the switch for me than other people is that they got this big goal that they
Mm.
want to,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I want the money, I want the contract. I just want to be. I ain't want to be no major league baseball player. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't what I wanted to be. I just wanted to get a scholarship to college. That was it.
Mm.
That
And
was
look at
where.
so, but that's a good
Yeah,
point, and I don't want to go off track, but I gotta ask
yeah,
now, like, so why, like, what motivated you to play the game? Because you played it for, like you said,
yeah.
16
I played a
plus
long
years,
time.
and
Yeah,
it wasn't, you were
it
way
wasn't.
past college scholarship, and you're still.
Yeah,
So, what motivated you to keep that fire going?
because it started with me and my dad, and that's
Mhm.
where it finished with me. Right, like
Mhm.
it was about me and my dad. So when I get off the flight, my dad crying because he like it's over.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing it because it's something we started. Right, it really wasn't no. You talking about, oh, as a kid, I always dreamed to be a major league baseball player. Yeah, it's corny to me in the sense of like I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have that. It was so cliche
Wow.
to me. It was like, oh, as a kid, like everyone has that story, right?
Mhm.
But I'm hearing it like, who gonna be real for one time? And I'm gonna be the guy that's gonna be like, bro, I didn't. That wasn't no goal of mine. I didn't see nobody on TV that I was like, what, one day I'm gonna grow up and I'm gonna be just. I didn't have that. It was just,
Mm.
you know, I played football, basketball, baseball, and I like baseball more. I had a passion for that, but as a kid, you really don't know your family. Your dad and mom, your mom and dad are kind of steering you towards something, and I was just good at it. And my parents saw that and identified that, and I enjoyed playing the game. But my goal was to just get a college scholarship so it can pay for school because I watched them, struggle to send my brother to Auburn University.
Mhm.
And as a younger brother, you looking at like, I don't want my people fighting like that. You
Mm.
see everything in front of you. So I was just like, shoot, let me go get this scholarship real quick. And it turned into 71st pick. And I didn't know, yeah, like,
So, so we got to go back, Lou. We got to go back to the beginning because this is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
This is perfect. This is what we want to hear, Nico. This we got to go back
okay.
to the beginning. You
Unique,
said
yeah.
it
Unique
started.
perspective.
It started with you and your dad, but I want to
Yeah.
I want to hear, like, how did it start? Who put the ball in your hand? How did you fall in love with the game of baseball?
Oh yeah, that's my parents. They did that. They got a story that my brother was playing, and he out there chasing butterflies in the outfield, but
Hmm.
I'm in the stroller on the fence, like grabbing the fence
Mhm.
and just watching the game. Like I'm watching like what's going on, and so I was next up. Like, okay, well, your brother definitely don't like it, so how about you try it? And I like playing baseball, and um, like I said, I was good. Like I was just good. I was talented. Blessed with that ability. And but my parents, it was both of them. It wasn't just one of them. Both of them. You gotta sign me up for what is it, T-ball? Yeah,
Mhm.
Hmm.
So when you're playing, this is in Atlanta.
right.
Hmm.
So when you're playing, especially at that young age, and when I say young, I'm saying anything before you really get to high school, right? So you're playing little league and things like that before you get to high school. I always ask two questions. One is, did you get to play in Atlanta with other kids that look like you at leagues, other teams? Did you have other black players on the team? And then the
Yeah.
other question I always ask is, when did you realize that your talent superseded? Because there's always a moment when you realize your talent is better than some of the other kids that are 11, 12,
Yeah.
That's a
13
good
years
question.
old.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm in Metro Atlanta. It's south of Atlanta. So it's Clayton County, which is that's a county that is Jonesboro, Georgia is our city. So I'm right outside the airport. I'm like 20 minutes south of the airport. And so in that area, growing up like younger, like T-ball, that it was, I'm the only black kid on the
Really?
team. Yeah, I was the only black kid on the team. And
That's
then
crazy.
all of a sudden I'm like, oh, there's another one. And we became best friends, went to the same school, you know what I mean? And but as I got older, that's when it was like, black, because I'm over here in Riverdale, Old National, flat shows like Gresham Park,
Mhm.
Reed, like you go into like now we over here talking about, Reed where Brandon Phillips go, like
Yep.
you starting to get into, you know, this is where black people are like really playing for real.
Yes.
Your Cascades, like everybody know Cascade from the
Yep.
movie ATL, but it's
Mm-hmm.
Cascade Park, that's so it was a thing just like any other baseball league. It's just wherever you were signed up to play rec ball, that's kind of who gonna be there. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like if it's a black
Mm-hmm.
community, majority of people there playing gonna be black kids.
Mhm.
And so yeah, so as far as like how many black kids were on there, yeah, usually it was just one until I got a little older, and then we can see
You started seeing some difference.
yeah, you start to see like what's what for real.
That's crazy too, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, usually I hear one or two things, Lou. I hear where I played, it was nothing but black kids,
Yeah.
or where I played, I was like the only one. And
Yeah.
it's funny because a lot of folks will say when they started younger, that's when they saw the most, and
Because
then it starts
everybody
to thin
plays
out.
Yeah.
when they're in T-ball. You like everybody started playing
Right, and
baseball
then
and
it
then it
thins
branched
out.
off.
It
Yeah.
thins out and thins out.
Mhm.
Nico, when did you realize, like when you were looking around, when did you realize, like,
Man.
all right, I got a little something here. I'm doing
Yeah.
something different.
Probably like seventh grade.
Mm. Now look, you're
Um,
tall. You're a tall individual. Lou's tall, but you're tall too. How tall were you in 7th and 8th grade?
oh, I ain't hit a growth. My growth spurt was the summer of us going to ninth grade. So I was
Okay,
like
so you
Same,
5 foot. I was playing point guard in middle school. For
same.
real. I was like
were you
five.
said
I
same,
had to be
Lou?
like
Yep.
'This is
5'7", I had to be
what?
around there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
And
man.
then I get to the summer going into high school, I grew to 6'3",
Okay,
and in one summer I grew 6'3", and
Mm-hmm.
went from a size 10 and a half, 11 shoe to 13. And
absolutely.
my
I'm still.
body hurt, but my
I'm
body
about to
would
say them
hurt.
legs was
I'm
My
hurt.
still
body would
waiting.
hurt my
Look, I'm a
knees,
good 5'5"
hips.
now, and I'm still waiting on that, Lou.
Yeah. And the first time I dunked was in 8th grade. Like when I hit that growth spurt,
Word.
first time dunking. So it was probably around there where I was always the best. I was always literally one of the best players, if not the best players growing
Mm,
up. However, when I first noticed like, I'm better than y'all, like kind of looking like that, like, oh no, I am better than y'all. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not just sitting here like, oh, it's my team. Like I played it. No, like,
Yeah, this is our best
like
player.
this is yeah, one of those like you kind of like, okay, I feel like it is me out here. Um, and then from there it was just, once I got to high school, you just the progression of getting better.
mhm.
And shoot, I was in 8th grade. That was before you could play in high school. I was in 8th grade playing summer ball with the high school
With the high
that I
school
was
kids.
going to.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I'm out there with them seniors in 8th grade, and you like,
Oh, I got
you
this.
know what I
Wait a
mean? My
minute.
dad
In
was
8th
like,
grade,
"No,
you were
but
like,
you
I
go."
got this.
Yeah, I was like, "I don't want to go out there." He like, "Man, get out there." I said, "All right." Lou know, you know what I'm saying? How my dad
Yeah.
is, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"All
Yeah.
right." And but
Okay.
he was like, "Man, they ain't nothing but older than you, Nico."
Mm.
He said, "Bro, you got it. Like you're better than them in 8th grade." And I
Okay.
went out there and I saw him like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I got some." And then ninth grade passed, then 10th grade, and then I had to transfer schools. And shoot, once I hit 10th grade, man,
It was
you talking
over.
about
It was
it
different.
started
It
moving
was different.
fast. Like
Yeah.
they was scouting me in ninth grade, and I started noticing and like, hold on. There's some people don't look like they're supposed to be at this game. You know what I'm saying? I went to a black school, so you looking
Yeah.
around like ain't nobody out here that look like y'all.
Yeah.
So,
But
so
yeah,
let me
it
ask
was
this,
yeah,
because you mentioned you were a multi-sport athlete. You played football, you played basketball,
yeah.
played baseball as well. How long did that go before you realized like baseball is going to be my thing? Or did you play all through Like high school?
No, I stopped football real early. My dad played. Yeah, for sure. I'm out of there.
Were you
You know
Nah,
good?
what I mean?
there, that
I'm,
first crack.
Oh,
I'm
no, were
yeah.
you good?
I was
Huh?
quarterback and safety. I think you can only be as good as they kind of tell you when you that young. It's just like I mean, whatever. Like I don't really count it. I played the sport, but I was
Okay.
supposed to play the next year. But my dad, going to college and playing college football, he was like, "We're not supposed to be in pads the first day. What are y'all doing?"
It's
And my
Georgia.
dad, my dad wasn't the coach, right? And so he
Georgia,
like, "Oh
Georgia,
no, come on."
Georgia on
And
something different.
bro,
Yeah.
we were doing them Oklahoma drills first day.
First day?
We up in there, yo,
Oh
boom. And I'm
no.
like,
Georgia on
and he was
something
like,
different when it
"No,
comes to football.
man, what?" I get up my helmet sideways. I said,
Yeah.
"No, bro." And
Oh
my dad,
no.
my
No.
dad got me out of there.
Yeah, you got to bump out the paint.
And that was it. That was
Yeah.
it,
But you
man.
played hoops?
Yeah, I played basketball. I stopped my 11th grade year just so I
Okay.
can lock in on baseball because the playoffs of basketball go into
Yeah.
baseball
Yeah.
season. So if you serious about baseball, then you understand like you can't waste that time to be
Yeah.
preparing, especially your junior year, which is
Hmm.
a big year, right? So, I had to stop that my junior year.
Now, do you feel, because we always hear this, we hear two different things, and I know the young people today, and it's for young people that's listening and their parents as well, we hear so much about specialization now. Like my son's 10 and he's already got travel ball and people talking about him playing year round. And I'm like, you know what? Do you think being a multi-sport athlete helped you in baseball or you caused you to delay a little bit? What do you think?
Both.
Okay.
Combination of both because you're dedicating, you're splitting your time, right?
Yep.
And the sports that I mainly focused on was basketball and baseball. So there was no time in between for me to prepare,
You jump
right?
from
It
one to the
just
other.
right. And so um why I say both is because you're learning different skill sets. You're telling your body to do different, I gotta
Different
jump. I got this.
movement.
It's developing. You're developing
Hmm.
different skill sets, and your body has to do different things. So, you know, you got your jumping ability because you played basketball. Now
Yep.
you wonder how you can snag that ball. At shortstop. You're like, oh my gosh, you jump so high. And you be like, yeah, it's, God given, but it's also I used to play basketball too. Um, so I think that part, but also you're up against guys that's all they do. They never
Hmm.
stop playing baseball. And
Yep.
I remember I talked to Kobe Mayo. I can't. I think he's like 23.
Yep. Orioles
And I said,
organization. Yep.
yeah.
Hmm.
I said, hey homie, like, did you do anything else? You 6'5". Like, did you play any other sport? He did. Nope. I
He's
played
like, nah.
baseball.
Well,
I
where he okay, so
like,
where he's from ain't nothing else but like
yeah. He
it's
like,
he's in Parkland. He went to Douglas. Like
But that's
it's
the wave,
live
Lou.
and
I'm
breathe
telling
baseball.
you, these people now is
yeah,
like full time, all
Oh
the
yeah.
time. Don't play any other sports, or you're not
yeah.
Hmm.
dedicated enough. It's some
So you're
crazy
Well,
about
stuff
you're
happening.
it's getting crazy now. It's getting with the
yeah.
stats and the technology that these kids
Yeah,
have.
it's
Like they're training
crazy.
like us.
Like
It's
you're
kind of
behind. You're behind. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
if you want to make it and then come out of the draft, especially high school now, it's tough to come out of high school the way the
Yep.
draft set up now.
Yeah.
So if you want to be a guy, you got to put, the other sports down because you're up against guys like Kobe Mayo who said, "No, I play fall ball,
Yep.
spring, summer,
And
winter. I'm trained." Like you
Hmm.
never are not on a team playing baseball. He said, "No, I play every." I
and
Yeah.
said,
Lou,
"Okay,
Lou, I do feel like that. It even unintentionally, Lou, I feel like that affects our community more than others. Like I
Yeah.
feel like our athletes, they want to play football, they want to play basketball, they want to do a lot of times what their friends are doing, and even a lot of their friend group. I see it, like I said, I see it with my own son,
Hmm.
multi-sport athletes. So he, just because he wants to be with his boys, they want to go play hoops. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And they want to be out there. And I again, I'll let my kid do whatever he wants in that sense because he if he falls in love with something, he does. But
Yeah.
I also see the kids that are his age that are travel tournaments every weekend and personal trainers. And it's not that he's behind, but it's like it's even just in front of the coaches. You know what I'm saying? He's the
Yeah.
coaches that coach the travel teams are the same
Yeah.
coaches that coach the high school teams. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
No,
it's like
it's been like
this
that,
tough
bro. It's been
balance,
like
bro.
that for a minute, especially like you said, all these kids are playing baseball year round. I was one of those kids that played baseball year round. I
Okay.
played basketball in middle school. I didn't play football. I didn't play basketball in high school. Like I was just focused on baseball, but I was not like Niko as far as like I knew what I wanted to do from like age 5, 6. Like I'm going to the big leagues. I saw one
Lou,
being like
Lou was the kid that was like, I want to be in the big league.
I was like, that was my goal. So like everything was wrapped around getting to the big league. So, but a lot of kids, like you said, a lot of them want to play football. A lot of us young black kids want to play football, want to play basketball, want to play baseball. Like they want to play these multiple sports. But also it could be detrimental, but it also can help us because we're so much more athletic than everybody else. Like Mookie, the fact that Mookie can play every sport at a very high level, it seems like definitely helps him when shifting from right field to shortstop and back to right field and then back to shortstop and playing a pretty good shortstop. So like it helps us in a way, but I can see how it can kind of bring us back and kind of set us back in a sense.
You know, one of the things I see is the best, and this is a double-edged sword because you're not always going to get great leaders.
Yeah.
In other sports. One of the things I have seen that I do think benefits is if you get different types of leadership styles. So say if you're playing like a really good basketball coach, a really good basketball coach can teach that young man or woman things because he's looking at a game differently than even a really good baseball coach, right? So it's like, I mean, again, football is a different sport, but I see it in a really good football coach, really good leaders. And I think there are leaders in all of these multiple sports and multiple disciplines. And sometimes I've seen it in a situation where it's like, yo, I just want my kid to be with that guy or that woman or that leader because I know 3 months later he's going to be a better player. He's going to be a better athlete because that leader is that good. So it's really interesting. Niko, I want to ask you because now we've gotten to a part where, you know, like you said, you started getting recruited freshman year, high school year. When did that situation, was it your sophomore year? When did it change for you in the sense where it was like, I like baseball, I'm really good at baseball, to now and it's like, yo, I want to get a scholarship. I might, you know what I mean? I might like, I got to start taking this serious.
Yeah, that was probably it was it was probably like my summer of 10th grade for real. Because I'm watching my brother, because me and my brother only spent 1 year in high school. So my sophomore year was his freshman year of college.
Okay.
And so I'm watching the progression of how things are, family situations as far as like what's going on. Because of that, my my parents got divorced when I was in second grade. So, it was that type of situation where you're seeing like, split houses and you make a decision, but I ain't agree with the decision, type like that stuff happens a lot, right? In those situations. So I'm watching, arguments, so I didn't agree with this, da 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 da. I'm like, all of this because of he decided to go to Auburn? Because you're a kid though, so you don't understand that. You just like, why they now? So you know what? I'm going to, go get it. And so it had to be about summer 10th grade. Like I'm in summer ball playing because I didn't play travel ball. I just played local summer ball.
Yeah.
And yeah, it had yep. That's when sophomore year. I'm like, yeah, we gonna make this the thing, and that's all I was chasing at that point.
And when did I wanna know, I think I know this story, but for the people again watching, like when did the whole switch hit? Type of when did that energy come about? Was it your dad? Was it a player
Yeah, for sure.
saw?
My dad wanted me to do it, and we went to a lot of Braves games growing up. So that's how my favorite player is Chipper Jones. So, I got to watch a lot of amazing Brave players for Carl, Andrew Jones, Javi Lopez, Maddox, Glavine, for Carl, Rock. Like I could name literally We got Brian Jordan. Like we're watching these guys growing. It's like we have the best. Like we have the best team out here, and I get to go to those games. The price of tickets weren't going crazy either, so you could show up. So it was my dad, and then my favorite player being Chipper Jones. So I started when I was in 11th grade, which some people like,
That's
what? That's
crazy.
late. I was like, yeah,
Late.
11th grade, because
Mm.
I didn't. We didn't know anything. Like we didn't have like
You know any
trainers,
better.
and I didn't lift
Yeah.
weights, so I didn't. I was just good at, I was just
Right.
good at the game. So I was
Mhm.
really out there strictly off talent, like not knowing what
Right.
I was doing. And the crazy thing is, I'm in the big leagues not knowing what I'm doing.
Mm.
And you
We're
can't
gonna get
even
to that.
tell.
We're gonna get to
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
We're gonna get to that.
Yeah, but yeah, that's yeah. Um
So 11th grade,
11th
you started
grade.
switching.
That's crazy.
11th grade,
That's
yeah.
crazy.
Made it to the league. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so because again, we're gonna take this through progression, but obviously you have a very strong high school career, right? Like so people are starting
Yeah,
to
for
look
sure.
at you in 10th grade, very strong high school career. Your
Mhm.
goal at this point is to get a college scholarship to play in
Yeah.
college.
Yeah.
When did it start to become a reality where it was like, yo, you may be able to forego college and just
Yeah.
go to the draft? Do you remember the first time that even came up in your mind?
Yeah, I'm in so my cousin, his name is Joe Pittman. He passed a few years ago, but Joe played for the Astros and other organizations, but was a scout. So I would, as I got older, and I became one of those guys in Georgia that's like, okay, he's pretty good. Like, I went down there and worked with my cousin in the infield, and I never forget me, and my dad going down there to Columbus, and I'm like, we were doing these college visits. I had went to Auburn, Florida State. I went to those two schools, and I'm just kind of hanging out. That's when it was like, my dad said, "Man, this college experience is gonna be fun, man. We're gonna go here,
Mhm.
da da da." Da," right? As a kid, especially for me, my dad telling me something, that's all I need to hear. Like what he say is what's gonna happen,
Mhm.
and I held him to it. You know what I mean? And I always hold him to his word. So he told me that, but now I'm starting to get this pressure from MLB now. And my
Hmm.
dad's seeing it like it's people calling and sending, questionnaires and all this stuff is happening and doom. I'm like, okay, a lot of stuff happened, but I don't know what's going on. But my parents do. My dad
Mhm.
knows what's going on. He's like, oh shoot, I know what I told you, but
Mhm.
yeah, you're gonna have to go ahead and pick this school, brother. And I was like, but I said, man, but and we had went to Kennesaw State. We went to Kennesaw State on a
Mhm.
visit, and I loved the school. I was far enough away from home,
Okay.
but that was just like, yeah, I gotta hurry up and pick a college to go to, and so I did that, and before you know it, it was just chaos.
So you committed
Like
to Kennesaw State.
I committed to Kennesaw State,
Mhm.
Okay.
and
This is your junior year.
yeah, I did
Okay.
like a verbal, and then you have your official signing day
Mhm.
Okay.
on your what is it, senior year,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and did that, and it was all a rush process. So I wasn't able to fully enjoy it. Like I said, going to college was like that was it for me.
That
And
was the
your
Like
brother
goal.
and
I
your
Yeah.
had
brother was
only
at
in this,
your
huh?
brother was at Auburn.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so that wasn't the top of the list?
Auburn, no, no, that was no. I enjoyed them
Oh.
schools. Like I'm out there, like, oh, this is crazy. Like Cam Newton out there and stuff. But I'm
Yeah.
like, but it wasn't like I wanted to be at home where I can drive home if I needed some. Like I understood all of this stuff based off of my brother who went out to
Right.
Auburn. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, nah, man. I like home cooked meal for sure.
Oh
I like my
man.
people to come see me. Like I don't know what's gonna
Mhm.
happen in college. All I know is I wanted to be closer to home than my brother was, just because I felt that was I looked at things like if something happened to my brother, we hitting that road and got to make this drive where
Mhm.
you know
Yeah. Yeah.
Kennesaw ain't
Right.
that far,
Right.
But
So
after that, man, things got popping, and I'm like,
so this was so you sign before the start of your senior year?
Well, I did like the verbal.
Right,
We
Verbal
right.
had
commit.
like the
But
signing
then,
day.
but then the senior year goes crazy.
Man, you talking about yeah. Every game you had 25 plus scouts. Every game, no matter where I played at.
Who
So
you were playing?
that's a great question because again, like I
Yeah,
said, a lot of young people listen to the podcast that are playing now, and a lot of their parents listen to the podcast that are playing now. In those situations, when
yeah.
you know 20, 15, 20, 25 scouts every night your senior year is how did you go about handling that internally? Did you feel like you had people you could talk to while all this was
Oh
going on?
yeah,
Did you
man.
feel supported? Now I know you were playing well, but
Yeah.
it feel a little bit like, oh man, everybody's here to see me? Is there
Yeah,
extra
you
pressure?
know that, man. Yeah, what's up. Everybody there know what's going on. But my
Mm-hmm.
dad prepped me as a professional at a young age. So like to the point that I was handling bill. I didn't go to prom. I didn't go to homecoming. Like I went to this second school on a mission. Like what I wanted to handle. So once it got me to go to pro ball, I was already
Mm.
handling business in high school. It wasn't no just like oh he. Oh. It was
But
like bro, I'm trying to go to college.
But
Like I'm really trying to
you
get to it.
realize what's going on, Lou. This probably applies to you too, because you realize what's going on. But
Yeah.
do you really, now that you look back at it, do you really realize what was going on? Like,
No.
or is it just
Oh,
kind of living
Now
in
that
the
I
moment?
look
yeah.
back at it, whoa. Anyway,
Yeah.
now you look back at your high school days, like no, I didn't really know what was going on. Obviously, like it was really crazy with me when they started coming to my school. Like when newspapers and stuff would like pull me out of lunch and like, hey, this newspaper wants to interview you, da 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 da, and like in front of everybody. And then we're playing a certain school, and like Niko said, you got 15, 20 scouts at the game, and after a while, you start to get used to it. But like you just playing ball at that point. Like you don't really realize like what all of this means. But it's like, oh yeah, like the draft is coming up, but like all these scouts are here for me. All these people are here because our team's good, and there's newspapers here, there's cameras here, there's scouts here and stuff, and that people know that college coach over there, whatever the case may be. So like you in the moment, you're like, oh, this is crazy, but like you don't really like looking back. I really didn't
Yeah.
know what was going on. You know what I'm saying?
Nah,
Couldn't really fully grasp it.
yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But Nico, you got prepped by your dad. You're
Yeah.
operating, especially your senior year. You're operating like this is more than going to school and playing ball.
Yeah, for sure. Like it got switched over on that car ride to Columbus.
Dang,
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm like, oh shoot, okay. I know what you said, but I hear what you're saying now. And
and it's different.
and then I was just being prepped. And then my dad a psychology major, so he always prepped my mind
Mm.
and ways in how the mind works and what people looking for and what they're, hey man, when you go over here, like that whole even kill, that was high school. That was,
Mm.
you go 4 for 4 or you strike, over 4. They shouldn't be able
Mm-hmm.
to tell what's going on. Now going out there to your position. So it was a tough, obviously my dad was extremely tough on me, but he was prepping me for the things I didn't know were coming up, in pro ball. So yeah, man, it was, and Lucy, his team was good. My team was trash. I do 1,000%. I do 1,000%. They
Who
were
were
They were
they
there for
there.
rooting
me.
They
for?
were there to
Yeah,
see you.
it was.
That's it.
Yeah,
They were there. Look,
they
Nico,
was there for me.
they had the
Yeah,
stopwatch ready every time you got on base. So
yeah,
it was
that
like,
was it.
Everybody
That was
stood
me up
up,
there.
guns out. Yeah.
right. They had to look. So
Yeah,
let's get to that faithful 2010 Minnesota Twins
Mhm.
second round. Was it at this point, by the time you were drafted,
yeah,
was there any question at all? You were like, nah, I'm not going to Kennesaw. I'm going pro. Like,
yeah. Like when my agent, because my agent came up to my dad at the East Coast Pro Showcase. That was heading into my senior year. We do
mhm.
that. That was in Lakeland, Florida. Um, Once that happened and my agent flew to Georgia, because at that time he was living in Tampa. He flew to Georgia. I'm like,
Hmm.
okay. I said, "Oh, this happened." And then at the point where we get done with the meeting, and it say, "Oh yeah, Niko, top 3 rounds."
Mhm.
I said, "Huh?" I said, "Oh yeah, I can't go. I ain't going to Kennesaw. I already know what's going on." You know what I mean? Like, and we going through like, yeah, Niko, 4 years of school be paid for. Okay, yeah, like I can go back and do that if I need to,
Yeah.
Right.
right? And I'm just really just looking at like, wow. But at that point, I knew I was good, but I'm still going up against like, in Georgia, Delano was in Georgia. He went 8th
Mhm.
overall that year. Like
Mhm.
Georgia was crazy here. DeAndre Smelter, Cam
Mhm.
Bedrosian. It's in some names you ain't gonna know, but when you're talking about like we had a tremendous showcase team, and
No
so
way.
then at that point,
I
the
think
Florida team
DeAndre.
was
You mentioned DeAndre Smith, and he's the guy that went up to USC. And
uh
I'm trying to
uh
think.
Georgia Tech. He went to play
Georgia. Oh,
football with the
okay,
Lions
okay,
stuff,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah, you're talking about.
but then you have
Yeah,
Machado on the Florida
yeah,
team.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
we had, that was just crazy. And so I'm still weighing myself against guys that you hear being talked
Yeah.
about in the paper, and you know, social media wasn't that big back then. So you're hearing, you just looking at perfect game reports of like like, oh wow, that's what that person did.
Mm.
But then for my agent to be like, Niko, no, you're top 3 like rounds, like you do it.
You
I
got
said,
you
oh my
you got
gosh,
to
yeah.
go.
Oh
So
snap!
this is about
Really?
to happen. I
You
said,
got to
this is really
go.
happening, and
Locked in.
and that was one of those things where like, I am gonna get drafted, so we got to really change gears. So the whole deal was just so my people ain't have to, you know, come out of pocket with no,
Yeah.
money no more.
Mhm.
So I accomplished that.
And so everybody, a lot of folks. Now you may not, because given what you've already told me, it could have been pretty straightforward for you. But everybody
Yeah.
usually has a crazy draft story. Like,
Oh,
well,
I
the
got one.
team. What's your
I
draft
got I
story?
got one that folks gonna think crazy, especially baseball folks. So back then, that's crazy. Back then sounds like, but it is. Um, Only the first
Back-
round was on TV,
Right.
yeah.
right? And so
Yeah.
I got drafted the 71st pick, and that's second round.
Second round.
So that's on the computer, and so they have it live, streaming live on the computer. So we had the computer up, just it was in the living room. I had went back to my bedroom, it was at my mom's house. I had laid down, and right when I just literally just randomly got out of bed and walked to the front. It's my video plan of me getting
Mhm.
drafted, but
Mhm.
the computer had froze all the way through that. So that's why I end up going to the room, because I'm like, I'm gonna go. The computer's froze. I don't know what's going on. Let me go to the room, and I just perfectly timed up. Like I go to the computer. I'm like, man, this. Now look, and then all of a sudden it comes back and it's my highlight video playing.
But you didn't get a
And
call. You didn't be like, "This is the Twins. We're gonna
after
pick
I
you
got
up now."
drafted, no,
They ain't call you before,
no.
They
The
weren't
team
like, "We're
that
gonna take
called,
you with this pick."
hey,
or
the
like an
team that
agent or
called me was
somebody?
the Rays, the Brewers. So I was
That's
about to go
hilarious.
to the Brewers. Like they're like, yeah, we take Niko, we take you, boom, right? And I'm like, all right, I guess I'm going to Milwaukee. And sure enough, the Minnesota Twins, we didn't know who TC was. We looking around like, man, who is TC? I'm like, ain't no way. And we didn't know what that was,
Right.
Yeah.
because the Minnesota wasn't blowing me up. Pause if needed. It wasn't blowing me up, and I'm just like, hold on, who is TC? To the point like I wasn't meeting cross checkers, none of that.
Yeah.
I'm
Mm.
just sitting there in like, okay, I got drafted. As soon as I get
What,
drafted, they call me.
what
Niko,
happens
man, we're
now?
so excited.
Right.
Like, man, we've been on you, bruh, from day one since ninth grade, and we just so happy. Like, this is
We were like,
everyone's calling
what?
me now. All the Twins are calling.
But you didn't.
Mhm.
They weren't on your radar.
Nope.
At all.
That's crazy.
Not one time it was
That's
like the
crazy.
Twins are just like pressing me. I'm like, yeah, I didn't think I was gonna go there. So we didn't even know, like I said, I didn't know what TC was. I ain't never picked the Twins on no baseball game, and
So
you know.
one of the questions we always have here, and we always ask it because there's we obviously we deal with a lot of high profile young people, and we deal with a lot of high profile young people's parents, and they're look, they're all called advisors now, right, Lou? Everybody has
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
advisors. that stick with him. And so one of the things that you mentioned Redan, my guy Alex Weiss was over there at Redan for a little bit before he started Minority Baseball Prospects. And we're always talking about that clock starting, right? Now and again, hindsight's 2020. You are able to get drafted, obviously, very, very high second round. We know because baseball drafts. How many rounds was it in your draft? Because it changes now.
It was I think it's 50 rounds.
50 rounds, right? So you got drafted
I
second round. So
think it
it's
was
not
50
a
rounds,
choice.
yeah.
But there's always a debate, especially now, about going to college or starting that clock. You were able to obviously get drafted out in the second round. Your clock starts early. You know, how old were you when you first went to your
18.
first report? Right. So that allows you to get in the pro system, pro ball, start because we know you know from 2010 when you were drafted. I think you debuted in the majors 7 years later, something like that.
Yeah,
Right.
2017. Yeah.
So again, now and again, different scenario in today's game. It's not even apples to apples when you talk about you know guys like Skeens or somebody or Dylan Cruz that went from LSU to the pros in what less than 2 years, right? Something like that. But I do ask, did you that process of being 18 years old, starting your clock, ultimately debuting in the major 7 years later? Do you feel like that was the path? Like that was the best path as opposed to now looking at some of these programs and saying, well, maybe I could play 2 years and transfer or JUCO or 3 years. Your path is your path, but did you feel like that was the best path to put you where you wanted to be?
For sure, because like I said, I had flipped the switch on this is what we doing now. Me getting drafted, it was just like, what am I gonna do? Go to college and what? Go three. I'm gonna go 3 years of college, and I'm gonna be the same. I'm gonna be the same player. Like you don't know what's going on. Like, and at that time, I'm just like, why would I not?
There's not that many. Look, there's not that many slots higher. Like, is that all you can do? Is go down.
You know, it was what my slot was 518,000. So I'm just like, why not? And then you go look at what my slot paying now. You be like, God, oh, man,
that's a whole different conversation. That's a whole different conversation. The budgets are different now. The budgets are different now.
Oh my gosh! But yeah, it was the right decision. We thought that, you know, I'm getting better. Like that was the thing. I'm gonna go to college and do what? And if I can go right to pro ball, I'm gonna get better. And we were wrong.
And so with that decision, and again, we talked about it, and we could be here all night, so we won't do that. But I love this part of the journey, that early part, because again, like I said, a lot of young people's parents listen, and this is great knowledge for them as well, obviously, and gives you a chance to tell your part of this part of the journey. You know the mindset switches. You're drafted. You're where you want to be. 2010 to 2017. There's some time in the look. That's a lot of time in the minors, right?
Yeah.
What was the biggest adjustment for you in regards to just being a professional player? Was it and did it change from 18 years old to 25 years old? Like, you know what I mean? Like, did obviously different challenges, different things happen. Yeah. But what would you say that time before you debuted in the majors? What was the biggest adjustment? What was the biggest things you had to learn as a player and as a person?
Before you asked that question, I said that we were wrong about me getting better. It was because we put too much faith in these coaches in the system, and we just thought they knew everything. And you get in there and realize that
Lou talks about this a lot.
Yeah, you realize like, oh, I'm just spending time with y'all.
Yeah.
Right. Then
Lou talks about this. Lou talks about this a lot.
It's for real, and it affects someone like me because I didn't know what I was doing. I was just good, right? And then you get there and realize, like, okay, there's a lot of folks out here good. So it's gonna come down to your skill within the game, which when you actually get it, you be like, these coaches don't know it. I would be
say it, Niko.
Right now, bro. Right now, I had a difficult time playing for teams because I'm sitting there looking at these coaches like, y'all couldn't do half the stuff I can do, and on top of that, y'all don't know what y'all talking about.
Mm.
But y'all just got a position. They just gave y'all a position, and now you walk around with this, right? And so in the game, you got that. But the real ones know, in the sense of the players know what they talking about,
Mm-hmm.
right? Everybody on the outside might not know, but you'll know, like, he been knew what he was talking about. He knew what he was talking about when he was on his way out from playing. Not
Mm-hmm.
he a coach, because he didn't help people on his way out from playing. You start to realize, like, now he know what he talking about. But all these other people that just randomly get in positions, they're in there insecure. They insecure about their jobs, because we
Mhm.
sit there and be like, where you learned that at? I know you ain't played past,
Certain level, yeah.
elementary
Right,
school,
Mhm.
yeah.
right? But that's when I said I was wrong, because we thought I was gonna get better. And so you're watching a player go through the process, just like, bro, I know I can do this because there wasn't anything I couldn't do before this. So
Mhm.
why I'm gonna start now on things I can't achieve? And he's like, I'm gonna figure it out. And you understand how good I was, because don't nobody get 8 years.
Mhm.
Who get eight
Mm-hmm.
years? Go when
Minor
you
leagues, yeah.
actually name who get 8 years to get it right. That's why the
Mm-hmm.
twins ain't know what they were doing back then.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
I'm just out there like, no, get me better. The same thing you see with Byron Buxton.
Mhm.
That is one of the most talented.
Yeah, he's extremely talented.
When I tell you he's the best,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it from the start.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
when you can't get that to translate like this, you realize, like, well, Carlos Correa. I mean, well, then you had, oh well, Chris Bryant. Right, you're looking at these guys, and like, I know what I seen Buck do on the
Mm-hmm.
baseball field.
Mhm.
So at that point, you realize, like, hold on, bro, y'all don't know what y'all doing.
So, something in the system
There's
When
something that
is stagnating these players.
you're not
when
putting the
did you
right
know?
coaches.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm
Yeah,
listening.
you're not putting the right coaches in
Yeah.
there. You're just going off a tradition of hiring your former players,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
when the most important thing is protecting your investment.
Mhm.
Your investment in these players. You done
Right.
spent too much money on these players, but it's taking us way too long. That go from Max Kepler,
Yeah.
Byron, but now these guys are younger than me, but you still are realizing, like, the people that made it quick. Eddie Rosario,
Mhm.
Rosie didn't listen to them folks and
I was
twins.
I
Rosie
was
got
just
fined.
I was
Rosie was
just
getting
about to say
fined in PCL and rookie ball, because he looking at, like, I already know what to do. I've been on this cat. I already know I know what makes me good.
that. Yeah.
So, that's because Lou does talk about this. And Lou, you can jump in whenever you want on this, because
No,
you mentioned, you always said one of the things you think that, obviously you made it to the big leagues as well, but one of the things you've always struggled with is you were too coachable at times,
mm-hmm.
and it stepped you back because
Yeah.
you were listening to other people
Yeah.
that and not really kind of doing the things that you've always done to get to where you were.
Yeah.
Niko, do you feel, especially when you were starting off younger wise, 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, did
Yeah,
you feel as well that you were too coachable?
for sure. Because, like I said, me, I didn't really know what I was doing, and you're trusting that the people in professional baseball know what they talking about, and are able to get players to their max potential rather than cookie cut them.
Mm-hmm.
But then you start to realize, like, you're dealing with kids. Like,
We don't know what we're
you're
doing,
dealing
especially out
with,
of high school. Especially
yeah,
out of high.
like, you're dealing with people that's kind of just like, I went to high school, and right, but you don't know how to make me better. And that's the thing, where it's like, I'm a guy that's gonna see something, what I do, what I need to do,
Mm,
tell me what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Don't cookie cut me.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what I need to do, because I'm too young to identify the player that I'm going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I have dreams and aspirations of being Barry Bonds,
mm,
because who don't
mm,
want to hit home runs?
mm,
Right.
But you had to tell me that, no, hold on, wait, Niko, there's a process, right? There's a process. Don't rush this process to being able to get into hitting home runs. First thing you do is learn how to hit. This is how we're gonna go about it.
Mm.
and then you extract the good out of this guy's swing and know what works for his swing. And if you're 6'5" like Lou, or if you're 5'8", or however tall Altuve is, 5'6",
5'6",
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
5'7",
like
5'7" on a good day.
Yeah.
yeah, those are two
With
different
spikes.
people,
Right.
but you're trying to cookie cut them.
Mm.
And that's the thing the Twins were doing, was just cookie cutting until you got to a person like Doug Minkiewicz.
Mhm.
And Doug, that's why Doug, you see, oh, why did they let Doug go? Because Doug know the game. He know what it's
Mhm.
going to take, but it didn't align with what that organization wanted to do. But he got the players better.
Mm.
Doug
Mhm.
got us better. So once you see the people that were with Doug, then you see them in the big leagues.
Mhm.
And it's like, that's how it's supposed to go. But y'all don't like it because he's too real with y'all.
Yeah.
But
Interesting.
that's what's
And
good for the players.
there's plenty of coaches that have and that I've come in contact with the Rangers. The coach that was too, like Nico said, too real, or too like, no man, this ain't gonna work. I'm telling you, this is not gonna work. We need to have these guys doing this. The coach that would fight back is usually the coach that would get brushed back from the team
Mm.
until the big league team, until big league players be like, no, hey, ooh, we need him over here. We need him in big league camp. Bring him in big league camp. We need him on the bench, especially at the end of the year. They would call him up to bring him on the bench, and all the big. And then it's like, oh well, okay, now we're gonna put him with the big league team because all these big leaguers want to hit with this guy because he knows what he's talking about. When guys like Adrian Beltre and Michael Young and Nelson Cruz and
Right.
these guys are like, yo, we want him. You can't say nothing after that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But like what Nico said, you again being too coachable, and then you when did you realize? Because I remember when I realized that I need to just be me and
Mm.
play,
Mm.
or play like what got me there, what got me drafted. You know what I'm saying? Being athletic, being able to just be athletic and be yourself in the box instead of, like you said, being cookie cutter. Just because I look like Cameron Maben and Dexter Fowler doesn't mean we're the same person. You know what I'm
Mm.
Yeah.
saying? We have different mindsets. Our bodies are different. Yes, we look to the naked eye. Yes, we look the same. You know what I'm saying? We're tall, slender black guys, long arms, long legs, long limbs. It's tough for us to control our limbs. You know what I'm saying? It's tough to control our hands sometimes, or our legs, or anything. But doesn't mean that I need to hit exactly like said player. So Nico, when did you? Because I remember when I finally got to that point, like, man, let me struggle on my own. You know what I'm saying? Let me do what got me drafted. If I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna go down my way. What year was that? What year was that in the minor leagues where you kind of just like? And I'm
Yeah.
sure when you finally said this is when your career kind of took off and you made a segue to the big leagues. When was that year when you were like, you know
Uh,
what, man, I'm gonna stop listening to all these coaches?
it was 2000 and 2016. I um I went in the spring, having a great spring, ended up getting a stress fracture in my foot.
Mm.
And, you know, now that I'm older, I can realize, like, I went through a time of depression.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta think, I'm in 2016 now. So that's 7 years of pro ball.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
And
in the mind,
not making
right?
it.
And
Grinding.
I go to this academy that they built at the stadium. So you gotta think, I'm rehabbing, going to the back to the academy, no car,
Mm-hmm.
right? No food, like you can't. There's curfew. You can't order no pizza. Like there are strict rules about this. So it's just I wake up every morning and I see a baseball field, and I go over there, do my rehab, get done for the day, put my boot on my foot, right? And so at that point, once I got healthy, it was a 3 month process. Once I got healthy, I went to Double A. I got with Doug, and then Doug McCavis. Got with Doug because I had Doug in high A too. So then I went to Double A. I'm like, okay, I show up. I had a good, I think I hit like 285, for the second half of the season. And then I went to Venezuela to play.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And because I only played half a year, I wanted to, get more at bats. And so my first manager was Ramon Borrego. Borrego he's the first base coach in for the Twins now.
No.
I stayed with him. We were roommates, and he was the third base coach for the Venezuela team. And so every day I got to go back, with my coach. And I'm sitting there, and he like, Nico, the accent, Nico, hey, like this league, man, is got older guys, and I'm sitting there like, he's like basically telling me, figure it out, and you're going to figure it out. You just gotta go out there and play the ball that you know how to play. But the thing about back then, they gonna send you home.
Yep, quick.
If you don't produce, they're going to send you
In
home.
Venezuela.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
In
you
all the
are
winning
like
leagues.
you don't produce, you're out. Like we're paying you all your money, but go home. Like we can't help us. We need somebody coming to help because this is about pride more than it is about money. I won't bragging rights. I'm the best in Venezuela, right? And I said, I'm like, okay, there are no hitting coaches out here. There's no one to tell me this isn't that because I've been way too far removed from Borrego, who's my coach. He's just a third base coach. He's someone I know and I live with in Venezuela. But at the end of the day, I gotta figure it out over there. I gotta figure out how to go and hit this pitching, right? And that's what I did. And so for me, that was the turning point because when I go to AAA next year, my first year in AAA, I ended up hitting 13 homers. That was the most home. Like it clicked for me, and I was able to learn how to hit, right? And I'm doing that in AAA my first year, and so I get a call up. So I would say my situation as far as me getting hurt was probably the best thing that ever happened to me because then I had to go to Venezuela, and that's where I made that turn to like figuring out, and I had to do it by myself.
That's crazy. Yeah, you touched on something I want to ask about because
Yeah,
baseball is a very hard game. You're tolling at it every day. Sometimes you feel like it's working, sometimes you feel like it don't. Injuries happen, and you mentioned like when those things happen to you in regards to just kind of mentally being where you needed to be. And I always ask about this, especially for Black players, because I often realize your situation might be different, Nico, but I often realize our support systems are usually further away, right?
for
Like
sure.
there's just not as many people that you can call on, talk to, ask about, try to work this. Like, hey, you've been through this. How do I get through this?
Yeah,
Uh,
man.
how did you go about when you said like, hey, I kind of fell into a mini slump there, mini
Yeah,
depression? How did you work your way out of it? Did you have a support system that you could talk to?
yeah. My dad.
Mm.
You
So
know,
not like vets, not like Black
there wasn't
players.
no vets. This is like there wasn't no that wasn't no thing. People be thinking that's a thing. When I came up, they're so focused on them making it. You gotta know that they have created a culture that we're the only black guy throughout the system.
Right,
Like
right,
we're gonna
Usually.
have one
right.
in each level.
Level
So
each
you go to the
level, yeah.
big leagues, you sit and realize like you got Denard Span, you got Ben Revere, like they're focused, it's a focused mindset. So when you end up trying to reach back, we're so far disconnected because you're
Mm,
in big league camp, and then I'm an 18-year-old and rookie ball, and you're from Tampa, but I'm from Georgia. Like you don't even know me. I don't have no access to you because it wasn't a thing of like, yeah, let this guy go to big league camp some.
God forbid you step in a big league locker room and you're in a minor league camp. Oh my goodness.
Who
You
is
might
this?
as
Like you
well.
just getting like, man, it's different,
right,
Yeah.
right?
right.
And it's the culture of just like we don't have nobody to call on. If someone does look like me in the coaching staffs, sometimes they're intimidated to show favoritism because they're
Right,
fearful of losing their job.
right.
And that's the stuff that pissed me off so much because I didn't love the game like that. Where I'm gonna switch up on you and not say what's going on and not stand in front of something because this 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 whole career gonna end,
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
right? And we gonna look back and you gonna realize how you treated somebody or what you didn't say or how you didn't protect this person or whatever it may be. It ain't gotta be no black and white thing. But in this sense, you're watching black coaches kind of go about it in the sense of like, hey, I don't want to lose this job. And it's like, hey,
Yeah,
bro,
yeah.
don't
I,
sacrifice us for it. We need you to be that way. So for me to pick the phone up and call somebody, I'm like, who I'm gonna call but my daddy?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't that type of relationships for
with other people.
for
Yep.
me coming through
Yeah.
the organization. Then they shipped Denard and being off
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
to get Alex Mayer and Trevor May.
mm.
So at that point, we looking at it like, who we gonna talk to? I can't talk to who I'm gonna talk to Aaron Hicks. And
Yeah.
and Hicksy my dog, but I'm saying Hicksy in double A,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Hicksy trying to grind too. So you didn't have
And
yeah,
that's where the representation. We always talk about this, but this is where the representation does matter. Because if you feel like you're isolated, or not even feel like, if you are one of a team, one or two of a team, and
Mm-hmm.
y'all are young guys, what
yeah,
what influence are y'all gonna have? Because there's not enough of y'all to
right.
even, like, we were talking about that heavy. We talked about that on a lot of podcasts in regards that there's a lot of security in the other sports, especially in America. There's a lot of security in football. There's a lot of security
Yep.
in basketball. Because when the team does something in basketball, it's the whole damn team, just
Yeah.
about.
No,
You on
majority.
the outside,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? You're
Yeah,
on the outside if you're not with the team. In
Mm-hmm.
baseball, it's you, and everybody's looking at you like,
yeah,
either you gonna come on, you not gonna, you know
Or
what I
you
mean?
not,
Like,
and we'll leave you.
right,
yeah,
right.
So no, I totally understand that because I mean, coming through the system with Texas when I was with Texas before I got traded, I mean, no, I can't even think. I mean, it was Ron Washington, but I got to talk to him when I got drafted, and then I didn't really see him
You didn't see
until
it fits.
I didn't see him until he was the third base coach for the Braves.
yeah,
Like I never went to big league camp with. No, I went to
Oh
big league camp
man.
1 year, but he wasn't the manager anymore with Texas. But I didn't like talk to him or see him again until he was third base coach with the Braves. I was with the Marlins. So, like Niko said, there's not really. I think nowadays it might be a little different, but if you're not in big league camp or in the big leagues, because I mean, like you said, God forbid I was 18, 19, and I didn't get called to be a JIC. For those that don't know, JIC is just in case for
Mm-hmm.
big league camp to fill in on games.
yeah,
But God forbid you went over. Hey man, can I get? Hey, what are you doing over here? Who let you over here?
yeah,
Get out of here. Go back to the minor league locker room. What are you doing over here?
yeah.
Like
You
it was
stink.
seriously like that. Like you couldn't step foot on the big league side. You know what I'm saying? So like
But what
it's
I
tough
this
to get access to
yeah,
guys like that, even if you did have another brother in the big league locker room. It's even tough to get access unless they come get you. You know what I'm
yes
saying?
sir.
Unless they call for you.
So what I would say is now though they're doing a good job of getting players into the game to become coaches
Yeah.
that
Mm-hmm.
actually play. So like I'm in spring with the Padres. You got Matt Adams. I played against him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You got Quentin Berry
Yeah.
over at the Cubs,
Because over
right?
there,
That
yep.
was my
Yeah.
teammate, right? You
Mm-hmm.
have Corey Wimberly as a coordinator in with the Mets,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
right? He was in spring training with me, right? You have Sherman Johnson with the Orioles,
Orioles, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Sherm,
right? He's a
yeah.
hitting coordinator. So the guys that you're seeing, like you said, accusing the big leagues, you're seeing these guys and they're doing a better job of getting players, and they want to hire players to become coaches because they understand that for one personality, but also what they want
Mm-hmm.
that, and they
Mm-hmm.
want their team. They're trying to reinvent the team. So we do the bashing, but I'm also seeing other sides of it where you know I'm seeing them putting players as coaches in there to end up I guess trying to avoid what I said the Twins did when you don't have really the
Mm-hmm.
development
Antoine
part
Richardson
in.
with the Mets. He first base coach.
Yeah.
Yep.
Come on
And
now.
Ricky Weeks with
EY.
the,
Yep.
yeah, EY, Ricky
Yep.
You
Weeks,
got
he's with
both
the Brewers.
EYs,
Yep.
but you
Yeah.
got his son who just got
Yeah.
the job
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
with the Mariners. You still got
Yep.
Eric Ferris, who's I think the bench coach for the AAA Mariners, who was up for
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
job. He was in spring. So all these guys is like, these are the people that we played against, right? And
Yeah.
with. And so we were just blessed, I was blessed to be able to continue to do it and go out on my own terms. But it's like I could have been playing for 20 years in this. So it's just a blessing to know that, I was able to play as long as I did, and I'm seeing guys that are coaches, and I'm older than trainers now. And you be like, what the? And
and
then, hey,
and even
one of my
we
one of my
talked about
teammates
it.
is Jason Kanzler.
Mm,
It's crazy. He's one of my teammates
Man.
in the Twins, and he's the farm director for the Cubs.
mm.
And you're like, this is a teammate, like, and you're the farm. You run the whole minor leagues.
Mhm.
Crazy.
That's nuts.
And we talked about it because especially the last couple years, you spent time in AAA, you spent time in the pros, and we would see like matter of fact the one time you were on the mixtape before you were in Norfolk. I interviewed you in Norfolk, and
Yeah.
you said you had just got to Durham. They had just
Yeah, I just
they had
got
you
to
were like I was just on a plane.
what was
But
it?
the funny part was
Yeah, I just had
Sherm
got
was
to.
there. Sherm was
Yeah,
with the Tides all the time.
yeah,
Jet Johnson was over there with the Tides at the time.
yeah.
Um, Daz Cameron was over there with the Tides at the time. So it's like you started to see more. I mean, like especially like I said, in this day and age, you're starting to see more, especially throughout the affiliates. You'll see
Mhm.
teams that have more
Yeah.
American-born African Americans on their teams. So,
Man, how real y'all wanted me to talk about some stuff?
I mean, hey, look, you retired. You can do it. You can say what you
No,
want.
Man, no,
he
listen.
said-
Hey, they gonna keep. You gotta really see what's going. And this is all right. Strictly my opinion, guys. Disclaimer. I don't know. I don't know if this is truth or not. Just my opinion. You look at let's look at that Orioles team we talked about, right? If you go there this year, you had Daz Cameron, you had Nick Gordon, you got Jordan
Adams. Yep.
Adams, you
Yep.
have TT Bowens, right? I
Yep.
can't they're the ones that stick out in the
Yeah.
sense of
Yeah.
who black players
Mhm.
are. There's a quote on black. How many players we finna have out here though? Because
Mhm.
what you don't see, I'm just going off history.
Mhm.
What you don't see is what kind of minor league trading are we doing? You trade Nick away and then you trade Dash Cameron away. And it's just like, what kind of trade was it though?
Mhm.
Like,
And
what
I'm
did
just
you
looking
get
in the
back
sense of
for?
like, hold on.
I
Because
can do. I can
I
do
go
one better.
I go crazy. Like, I'm like, oh shoot, when you got to think when the Mariners had Malix,
They
D,
had like eight,
Oh,
eight,
they had
nine of
8 or
them.
9.
Yeah.
Tim, you
Yeah.
Kyle
had
Lewis.
Yeah.
JJ, not JJ, who was the short, JP Crawford,
JP
Kyle
Crawford.
Yeah.
Lewis.
Yeah.
Like, you're having, like, hold on, y'all got six,
9.
I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
jealous.
Yeah. I
I'm
got the
jealous.
photo.
We were
I got
I'm
the
all
hating.
photo
jealous.
of
I'm
them all.
like,
We were all jealous.
what? Y'all get to show up to the field like this, and it changes. No, I'm telling you, it changes the culture of that
Yep.
locker room,
Yeah.
and it becomes just a environment that you just like, ooh, because we never had that before.
Mhm.
So when
So it's different. Like I was telling Lou,
yeah,
Mhm.
I was at Nats camp this year. And I don't know if you guys know about the Nationals, especially in spring training camp. They
Mhm.
had the most black players at camp.
Yeah.
The
mm,
most. And I was talking to obviously they had Delano DeShield Sr. there. He's
Mhm.
double A coach now. And a matter of fact, he's in Richmond where I live right now. They had the I guess is it Coles? I think Coles is another coach that's over there. But it was like
DM Colts, yeah.
you would talk to the players. You would talk to the players in spring training. And I'm talking about it's noticeable how many
yeah,
they had. And they were looking around like, especially some of the younger guys. Sir Jameson and look at some of the young guys that was at their
Mhm.
first big league camp. And they were just kind of there waiting until minor league camp starts, right? And they were just like, yo, you look around and it's like you talk to it's funny, you talk to the vets and you talk to the younger guys, and the vets were like, nah, this ain't normal. Like you talking
Mhm.
like Josh Bell and those guys, JoJo Gray and those guys, they're
Yeah.
like, we got a lot of us in camp, but it
so
felt different. You know what I mean? Because they had the younger guys and it felt that Nas Nunez and James Wood and Lyle just
CJ.
came up and
Yeah.
yeah,
it was just different. But I say that because you were talking about the Orioles. I did before the season started, I did pieces on what could happen with
yeah,
teams like the Nationals, the teams like the Orioles. Now the Orioles, and there's the one that I was saying I could do better than the Orioles is if we look. We were just talking about this. If we look through what happened with the Angels this year, Now, you can say what you want about the Angels. What you can't say is that Ron Washington didn't give brothers an opportunity. We can go through, like, Carl Edwards Jr., who's pitching in Mexico now, pitched in the big leagues this year for the Angels. Tukey pitched for the big leagues this year for the Angels. So TA just got designated for assignment. Kyron Paris is now down for assignment. Joe Adell is still up. I'm trying to think of Chucky Robinson was in spring training the whole time to the last day. And it was like we're just going through the names, and what Niko brings up is interesting, because we were looking at, like, all right, we're like somebody, we're looking at these teams with players, especially with multiple black players, and it's like, man, if so and so goes up or gets off the IL, who going down?
Right, what's up, man? Hey, you know what's up. I'm not here to.
It's real. When you look at the numbers, right, and you look, I will not say who. I will say somebody, a fan close to the Tigers last year. We were talking about this last year, and they were like, "Man, if Justin Henry goes up, does that mean Akil's going down? If Akil goes up, does that mean?" And it's like it's the only two of them out there. Let's just make it. But it is very interesting, because we watch transactions of the mixtape. I'll tell you this: we watch transactions very closely. We watch who's going up, who's going down, and I'll be the first to tell, because we do recaps every night. Every morning on Black Baseball Mixtape, you'll see the Black Baseball recap. And we were like, man, I was like, don't get me excited when we were talking about Cincinnati, because at one point this season, just like last week, 2 weeks ago, Reese Hines was up, Will Benson was up, Hunter Green was coming off the IL. And it was like, as soon as Hunter came back, Reese got sent down. We're like, God.
How does that even make any sense? He's a pitcher. The way
things work, man. I'm telling you. All right, Niko, you've been so gracious with your time. This has been a lot of fun. I know you're used to this in this world and podcasting and going, but I want to ask you one question out the door, and then we'll talk about a little bit about what you're doing now with the podcast. But we talked about the journey a lot. I do want to talk about the good times, man. And when I say that, I want to talk about when you made the debut in the big leagues, and you're playing in the big leagues, and what is the thing that you remember the most about just that moment, a moment in your career where you were like, yo, like, this is what I've been working for, and now I'm in the big.
Yeah. Because everything is thrown out the window. That whole thing about getting a scholarship. Once I'm there, I shift, right? And now I'm like, okay, let's get to the big leagues then.
Yep.
Because why I'm gonna do this again?
Through every year since it was big league time.
Yeah. What am I doing? Like, why am I going to play if I'm not trying to go to the big leagues, right? It's crazy. And so when I got there, through my journey of, was it 8 seasons? I get called up my 8th season. It was one of those things like, bro, I did it, dog. Like, I wanted to quit. You know what I'm saying?
What?
Like, no, not at that point, but through that journey, I questioned myself. I questioned myself so much. Doubt sets in, and you just sit there like confused. And you got all these emotions, like, bro, but ain't no way. This is where, like, I can't do this too. And called my dad. I was emotional. They came and got me. The coach, it was so great. The coach was crying coming to get me. He came out there. It was my head coach. He just crying. I'm like, somebody died? That's the only thing I thought of. I was like, I ain't getting called up. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, did someone die, bro? Why? And he called me to the office, and he told me. I cried a little bit, and I called my folks. I said, hey, man, I got called up, and when I got on that field, what I remember is how tall the stands were. Like, I got out there at second base, and I was just like this.
That fourth, fifth deck.
You just seeing, like, flashing, like, and then, Target Stadium, like, Target Field is dope. Like,
it's dope.
So you got, it's new. Like, you got the lights with the music. Like, you just in, like, I'm like, oh, yeah, this is it. This is how it's supposed to be, right? And the lights are different. You can see the baseballs, like we used to in minor league. So the first thing was just, I'm like, bruh, this is crazy right now. it don't even feel like it was like an out of body experience
Yeah.
because you're not used. I'm so used to minor league, minor league stuff that now I'm like, oh, this is what they've been talking about.
Right.
And
So
yeah,
no, so get this though, because you make that debut at Target Field, and then the
yeah.
next year you get traded. Is that what happens to Detroit?
No, I got hit one of them DFAs too. You know,
Okay,
Wait,
and I
because
cleared waivers.
that Detroit year, I
Yeah,
was just looking at it. I'm looking at it right now. That's 131 games. This is 2018.
yeah.
131 games in the bigs, over nearly 500 plate appearances. You got
yeah,
16 of them things out there that year.
yeah.
What do you
I touched all the
remember?
bases. I
Right.
touched all the bases
16
after
times.
hitting the baseball 16 times. Yeah,
So I was just saying. So that basically your first full season in the bigs.
yeah,
You're doing your thing. Like, what do
yeah.
you remember about that time?
I'm just playing. Like I ain't know.
Uh,
And this is what I had Victor Martinez still, right? And that was his last year. Victor Martinez, 40 years old. And, you know, I'm not knowing anything. So that's when that veteran presence that we don't have as black athletes in baseball, like we don't have that guy that we can feel safe with in the sense of tell you what's going on. Bro, I don't feel like this. Like there is a bias, right? You see it for the Latin players and the white. There is a
mhm,
I go towards
Mm-hmm.
who I'm comfortable with. That's just no that's everyday life, wherever you at.
Yeah.
Right?
mhm,
And
mhm,
we ain't have that. And so I'm kind of lost and seeing my way through it. And then Vic like Nico, come on.
mhm.
And so I just paid attention to Victor Martinez, one of the greatest switch hitters, right? And he didn't have to do that. And so I'm watching everything that he's doing. And then we get out in Houston and we walking through the hotel. We just land, we out the hotel. My dad is already there. And my dad down at the bar, Lou know the hotel. We had I don't want to say the hotel we had. We had there. So you got the nice, the bar. So my dad down there kicking it. And I lied. It wasn't when we got to play. It was after a game, and Vic came up to my dad and said, "Hey man, your son could play.
Mhm.
Like your son can do it for real."
Mhm.
And you hearing things like that, and so once I heard that, I'm just like, "Oh, I can play." But at the same time, like I said earlier, I didn't know what I was doing. I'm just going off of
That's
there go the ball,
crazy.
swing hard, let it go out there somewhere, right? I'm still in the process, of just like I'm just playing, and you start to find out. I didn't start learning how to hit a baseball for real until it was too late, where they weren't giving no opportunities to me, and I started that in when I got hurt in 2022.
Mm.
And I would say I look back now and everything happens for a reason. But one thing I wish I did was not chase the money.
Wait a
And
second, though.
what?
There's so much there. There's so much about Lou. We gotta do this 3-4 more times.
I'm about to say we need
We haven't
What?
even got to his
What's going
pro
on?
career.
part two.
We ain't got to his pro career.
Oh yeah.
But you said something, and it mirrors so much to what Lou has told me over the last couple months when we talk about this. And when you say this is a person now, Lou, track me if I'm wrong. You broke into the bigs in 2017, like I said, first full season 2018, and you're telling me you feel like you just learned how to hit a baseball when
2022.
Lou.
Yeah.
Lou says the same thing though, right? Like so you've been in the pros 5-6 years before you really think you figured out your approach at the plate.
For sure. I ain't gonna say I figured it out, but I identified what I wanted to achieve every day I go out there on that field. And it didn't happen until I went to Houston, and that was probably a decision.
Yeah.
If I could take a decision back, yeah, they paid me 2.1 million, but I didn't play. I sat on that bench, and
Man.
you know, I'm sitting there looking at everything like, hold on, I play 7 positions. I switch it. I'm one of your
Mm.
fastest players, but I get in the game every 7, 8 days. And when I do get in the game, I'm facing Otani, Syndergaard, Barrios, da 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 da. Ask Lou. Cause I'm telling you, I go down,
I
I
was
get
watching
sent
on
down
TV.
to I get down to Sugarland,
Yeah,
Sugarland.
Sugar Land
Yeah.
is
They
Houston
watch the
AAA.
game like this. in the cafeteria, and I'm looking at these folks like they crazy. Like, go home. They're in the cafeteria eating like, oh, the game's on. No, they saw what's going on. They're like, hold on, we got to do that. Wow. And then I go down to Double A, and they're like, oh, Niko, okay, homie, because I'm hitting 3 something with, I can't remember the numbers, but I'm yes, it's one of them. And so then at that point, I'm meeting Lou, I'm meeting Corey, but at that time I couldn't see myself transitioning to a different person other than a player. And then when I tore my hamstring, trying to get my fifth hit, fourth hit.
Trying to sniff a
leg out. I'm trying to leg out something. Bam! Tore my hamstring in 2 spots, and at that point, the only thing I could do was help. And then you really start to find your purpose of like,
that's wild.
Okay, I ain't really supposed to. You don't accept it, but that was part of why I retired too. Is that I accepted that what God had for me was no longer to be a player.
Okay.
It's move on. Right, but I'm still supposed to be in this game doing something in some type of capacity somewhere. It don't gotta be no major league, somewhere, because I'm meant to be helping someone, and I identified that back then. So I started I had time to really like, okay, what is it? Because at that time I'm still trying to chase to get back to the big leagues. I haven't identified I'm really supposed to be helping people. Right, and so I'm like, how did I get? Oh, I got it. And I figured it out. And so from that point on, go look at the numbers. You're going to see a player like, okay, let me look at these minor league numbers Niko just did from 2022 on. Right? And you're going to sit there and be like, hold on. How he ain't getting no chance again? Because you'll see me in the big leagues, but it's going to be similar. Like the Rays call me up.
Yep.
I got a manager.
You're in big leagues. Yeah, last year, this year, yeah.
Hey, I'm one of the players that's gonna say it though. I'm the dude that's gonna say it. What's going on? And then you gonna tell me. And then what I want, whoever I'm saying about, if I'm lying, they come tell me I'm lying, that it didn't happen. I'm one of them people, right? And so it's like I go to the Rays. I'm at the Rays, and homie, the manager Cash is telling me like, "Hey, Niko, you can play first and do it." I'm like, homie, I was just on the other side down here killing y'all. What you talking about? You know who I am. Don't play that card. And it was just a thing of like, I got up there, but you got to remember, at one point I sat for 3 weeks straight with the Rays. You heard me. Unheard of, right? 3 weeks straight with the Rays, right?
Collecting money.
Hey, it's fine. But it be so, I tell you, it be so much. You get to a point in your life that it's so much more than just that. Then I'm looking like Jose Siri allowed Eloy Jimenez to get a double on a ground ball to him in center field. They look on the bench like, we got to get him out of there. Who we gonna put in? Niko. Niko, you more comfortable playing left or right? Dog, I ain't playing in 3 weeks. I ain't comfortable playing nowhere. I don't know where no position is located. And those are these. I'm telling you, I'm sitting like, what
which way is right field?
Right. So let me look. I hate to shift gears so hard, but we gotta ask Niko this question now. We have a question, Lou, that we've been talking about for a couple weeks. Now that we're comfortable, we gotta ask Niko this question. Rafael Devers.
Yeah.
I gotta ask. So I'm not talking about Devers. I'm asking you, if an organization told you, pack up your gloves, you're only gonna DH. Then a couple weeks later, they come back to you and say, Niko, I think we need you to play first base.
After they paid you $300.
What'd you say?
After they paid you $300 million.
And you were the face of the franchise. Let's not get it twisted.
Right.
Do you understand where Rafael Devers is coming from? When you're like, nah, I'm not. You told me to pack my gloves away. I'm not going.
No. Okay. There's a couple. I played every position. So what I'm gonna tell you is, them folks ain't show me no love like they were supposed to. That's what I'm gonna tell you right off rip. Could go ask
Mhm.
Lou to play short. On top of that, go tell Lou to go get a goal, be a gold glove finals of that short.
Oh.
These things that people don't know. Because if I turn my resume in, you're gonna be like, where that player at?
Right.
Mhm.
And you're gonna realize you take the top off the headline, say Niko Goodrum, and all of a sudden it becomes like well, what about this guy, right? So when you look at Devers, I'm looking at him like, folks,
Go play first
you
base.
got $300 million. They're telling you to go play first. You already played third,
Yeah,
right?
he wanted to play third. They signed
Go play
Bregman. He
first.
was like, "Nah."
You got Alex Bregman.
Right.
The thing that people don't want to accept is that guy is a better third baseman than you are.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. I'm
Mhm.
letting you know right now. I played with both people. I seen Devers. I've seen Bregman. He's better at playing third base.
Well, yeah.
In this
Everybody knows that.
space,
Yeah.
that you want to win a championship, guess what? I'm gonna need you to DH or play first. Here's the kicker. I'm gonna still pay you the same amount of money.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How about that? You just gotta go over here. But once you start to see that, you start to see them insecurities
Mhm.
pop out. And you're gonna be like, I don't wanna be the guy that mess up or I ain't that good at it. Homie, go on over here to first.
You
Go
still
DH.
gonna
Who
play?
care? Go
You still
help the
getting
team
paid.
win. You
Mhm.
they gave it to bro. They gave you the
He's got
bag.
he's got all kinds of money.
All
Money's
kinds,
not an
So
issue.
all
it's
kinds of money.
confusing. It's confusing.
Confusing.
Or I just say this. I keep it stat. All I hear is crying.
Yeah.
Cause I didn't question none of that when they told me I'm gonna go play left field today. Now I go play second base. You just buy into the hype. So he bought into the hype that I get 300 million and da da da. Hold on, bro. Mookie Betts went from right field to shortstop.
And then back to right
And
field.
back and back. So
It's just like
Lou, let me ask you this.
Mhm.
So they got now you got the young boy. They got Christian Campbell working out at first base. He's a second baseman. He started at second base.
Yeah.
yeah.
But they got Marcelo Mayer and all those guys. I'm just asking you, Lou, are you concerned when you see Christian Campbell working at first?
Yes. Yes. Because listen,
Why?
because you're switching too many.
No,
First of all,
say it,
he's a young
man.
guy.
Say what you need
First
to
of all, he's a
say.
young guy. He's a young guy, and he's
He's a
not used to
phenom.
playing. He's
They
not.
just
He played.
extended him.
Huh?
They just extended him. He got the money.
You're right. You're right. But now he's struggling. He's struggling now, right? He's been
yeah,
on a bender the
That'll
last
be
yeah,
expected. To
however
be
many games.
expected.
yeah.
Right, to be expected. He's got to take his lumps. He's got to pay his dues. The league done adjusted to him. All that. So you play him at second base. He came up as a second baseman or shortstop because Meyer was
I
playing
saw him
shortstop.
playing shortstop in center field.
Right. So like you have him
Yeah.
play center field. Now you're turning him into a utility guy in a sense.
Yeah.
Essentially, you know what I'm saying? Because he
Yep.
played center, played second base. He could probably play shortstop. He could probably play third base. Now you're telling him to play first base. Like a guy that's not used to it. Yes, if a team tells you to play somewhere and they just pay you the bag and you're young guy, you got to move. I'm sorry, you got to move.
Very
But at the
young.
same time, that
Very
does
young.
mess with your psyche
Sure.
of I'm already not doing well. You know what I'm saying? Now he's starting to struggle a little bit. They lost Bregman. Now there's a little bit more pressure on him to produce behind. He's not hitting directly behind Devers, but he's hitting behind Devers. You know what I'm saying? Now you got to switch over to play first base. Now, God forbid he cost them a game at first base. That messes up a young guy's psyche that's already struggling and already playing in a big market like Boston. So that's how I'm looking at it.
So did
But,
y'all?
yeah,
Okay,
you got to play wherever the team tells you to play.
what's their record? Do y'all know the Boston Red
Not
Sox record?
500.
Okay, so now
I
you
got
start to realize why moves are made because they're already chalking up like probably not gonna win. Do I
They're
want
20,
to?
27 and 31.
Okay, so they gotta go on a good
Not terrible.
run. They gotta go on a
Yeah.
good run, right?
They are nine and a half games behind the Yankees right now.
Mhm.
Okay, so then you start to realize like I don't want to spend money to go get a first baseman.
Right. That's why they wanted Devers to do it.
Right? I don't want to
Exactly. I
spend no
already spent
money.
all the money.
Now
There's my first
he's
baseman right
causing this issue, and now you're looking at like, so what we gonna do? I mean, okay, we just paid him, so it'll be stupid for us to put him on the bench. and go get somebody. So Campbell, you gonna have to play.
Yeah.
Okay, but I can't keep this guy in AAA because y'all said they called up Mayer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they called him up.
He gotta play.
Yeah.
So the only way that I can get everybody on the field is like Bregman, Story, Mayer, Campbell. That makes sense. That's
And
gonna
then you
look
got
right.
you got David Hamilton, who actually plays well when
David
he gets to play.
Hamilton,
When he gets to play, he plays well.
right? And I think it's just one of them things that you
More
just
utility.
watching. Yeah, you watching them,
Mhm.
bro. Like this is kind of the situation we in. We don't want to spend no money. This guy can do it. We done already spent money. We got prospects in AAA that gotta get in the big leagues. You got Anthony. Is he in the
Roman
big
Anthony's
leagues?
still the one. So of the three, Mayer and
He's
Campbell
still in
are up.
AAA.
Yeah,
Roman
he's
Anthony's still
but
down.
they're gonna
Hey,
call him up soon.
They're gonna
Hey,
call him up.
Anthony.
you can't hold him back, and you just got a log jam players
Mhm.
that you done paid money to in Boston. And I just think that with Campbell, they were looking at who can go play, who gonna go over here and play first. You can't put Bregman
He's-
over there. You can't you're not putting
Bregman's
Story
hurt.
over there. You're
Yeah.
not putting none of these guys over there. Campbell, you can do it, right? Because you played. I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you. I guarantee that kid ain't played first base in his life.
Yeah,
You know what
I
I mean?
mean,
And
unless
he went to Georgia Tech. He ain't
Yeah.
play no you ain't play first base at Georgia Tech.
No.
You play your prime position, got
He's a shortstop
drafted,
there. Yeah.
play a premium position in
Yeah.
pro ball, and all of a sudden now you go to first. You ain't never played first.
Well, then that causes players that
love
coming
it.
up now. It's like, all right, everybody's got to play multiple positions. You're not just a shortstop. You're not just a center fielder. You're not just a left fielder.
What
now
was his
you're
name?
molding
Remember, we
old
were talking about that.
dudes.
We were talking about that. I think the last time we were together in New York, Lou, it was like the Padres have a team full of shortstops.
Literally, a
the
team
Padres
full of
have
shortstops.
0, like 1 through 9 of shortstops.
Facts.
So they just play everywhere.
You
Yeah.
name them. You can name them.
Yeah,
Like, oh yeah, Miro,
Niko was there.
Tatis,
Niko was
Bogarts,
there.
Machado,
Yeah, they're all
Cronenworth.
shortstops.
You looking like, oh, okay, got it. All y'all can, okay. But what I really think is going on, shortstop is the position where you have all those attributes that you need for every other position, right? And so usually the best athlete goes and plays shortstop, right? Got the best arm, the best. So it's a great pick in a draft to pick a shortstop because I'm getting all those attributes that they bring. And if it don't pan out, guess what? Go play second.
Go play second. Go play
Right?
center.
Machado, you got a little too big in a sense of how they. Yeah, I'm saying that's
He
what
just
they
outgrew
say.
shortstop. He just outgrew.
They say that.
Yeah, but I mean, look, I'm looking at guys like even Ellie and O'Neal Cruz, right? Like, so right now, Ellie's still at shortstop. Ellie will not be at shortstop 2 years from now. He's gonna be in center field or somewhere like that.
Yeah.
Right.
O'Neal Cruz is already in center field.
Do you think they're good shortstops?
Who, O'Neal Cruz and Ellie?
When you talking about a good shortstop,
let me tell you what I think, because this is a good question. I think their athleticism actually hurts them.
Correct.
Because Ellie and O'Neal Cruz both made a ton of errors on plays where maybe Trevor Story doesn't get to. Right. That's where
they should be hits instead of errors.
So you're looking at it and you're like, God, that guy makes a lot of errors. But he also makes a lot of errors because he got to a ball and trying to make a throw that he shouldn't, that somebody doesn't even get to.
Right. A lot of them were throwing errors too. Yeah, so you're right.
Yes. Yeah. I look at the situation now, and I'm the only one dying on this hill right now. And I'm not saying that Ellie De La Cruz is worse. I'm not saying O'Neal Cruz is a better player. I think Ellie's a better player, but I always love the Ellie De La Cruz, O'Neal Cruz debate because before the injury, O'Neal Cruz was, people forget, O'Neal Cruz was Ellie De La Cruz. There was a time, I guess it was 3 years ago, when O'Neal Cruz was the talk of baseball. Then he gets the injury, Ellie comes in.
Yeah.
And so now, and again, right now, O'Neal Cruz is balling. He is playing really well.
I just saw that what 125. How fast is the ball?
Balling.
He's punishing baseball.
So I just love those. I love those conversations because to get back to the point, those guys with their athleticism uh, makes them look like worse players. Even if you go to the analytics stuff, they're statistically worse players because they're getting the balls and trying to do Superman stuff all the time. And
Yeah.
so, again, and if you do it too much, it does hurt. It does hurt the team because you can't afford to have that many errors. Where
at a premium position, no.
yeah, it's like sometimes you got to look at the quarterback and be like, look, hold the ball, bro.
Yeah.
Like, don't throw an interception, just hold the ball, bro.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously, I think that to answer your question directly, I think they're pros. I don't think either one of them play shortstop. Probably past the next. Like O'Neal's already gone. That ship sailed. I think Ellie's probably going to get, because there's also the other side of the coin of what you guys are talking about is, like you said, Niko, that shortstop position. You can go through every affiliate club you have and look and see who's playing shortstop. And most of them are like, you got Edwin Arroyo in AA for the Reds. Like, I don't know if y'all know, but switch hitting shortstop, like, you know what I mean? He's a guy where people that like, that guy is probably going to be a pro sometime. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's interesting to see, man. But I think they're pros. I just don't know if they're going to be pro shortstops, right?
Yeah, for sure, man.
You never know nowadays.
With Tatis, like you see, Tatis,
yeah, Tatis is a great example.
Like it's exciting. People get what people get confused is the excitement. Like the excitement brings a whole different thing. Like so, when you look at money, when you look at people trying to make money, because we forget these owners are like this is a business for them.
Business.
This is one of their businesses.
Right.
You got to realize they have 4 or 5 other successful businesses.
They own this team.
This is one of them, right?
This is a hobby.
So,
right.
What's going to give me the most money? I need exciting. I need somebody to tune in, right? And you realize these players are that, right? So when you're watching it, it's like when you see Tatis, you telling me y'all moved Tatis to right field?
To right field.
What's going on? But you realize like something else. It's just something else is going in that space of, like you're saying, that excitement wasn't winning us games. And I need this, and so then that's when you see the guy named Kim who played with the Rays now.
Yeah.
Like you see the difference of like, okay, you suit us better here when we talk about winning. So when we bring back the whole thing of winning and not selling a ticket because we worry about entertainment, then you start seeing teams really put something together for real, because that's the best player for the position rather than we trying to get excitement.
I was gonna say, so as a player, you can see that right off. What organizations are going for entertainment? What organizations are going for wins?
Because I shifted. I had made this shift of, hey, bro, y'all ain't finna do nothing. Like, once I got back to the big leagues, because I was hitting 3-something with 4 in 8 games, and I got called up after 8 games, right? And I didn't play, and I'm starting to look like, hold on. Wait a minute. I can't play? Somebody get hurt and I'm hitting 3-something with 4 homers in 8 games. I don't come up here and play. I got to sit on the bench. Okay. I see what's going on. This will be short-lived in a sense of what I'm finna be doing. And so I shifted and started looking at the business, because I kept getting DFA, claiming DFA, taking my family across the world in 2024. I'm going here, and I'm just like, and that's how I end up in Norfolk. Just like, all right, I went home for 3 weeks. Let me see what's going on. And I was gonna retire then. But when I left, I said, I'm not leaving to go out here and chase the big leagues. I'm leaving to see who I can help. That's what drove me to drive to Norfolk and be there. Because I'm now looking like, okay, who can I help? Who can I help? Who can I help? Yeah, I'm going to tear y'all up in minor leagues. This is not. I'm going to play well in AAA. I'm not proud of that. I'm supposed to beat up on y'all kids out here. What you saying, right? I'm supposed to show up and be like, man, hold on, bro. I'll show you what I'm finna do. Hold on, real quick. Hold on, watch this. And I just shifted, so I started looking at the business for real. I'm like, oh, okay, y'all not. I got it. This is one of y'all. What's gonna work for y'all in this business, and that's where teams are really going. But the ones that are winning, just go ahead and look at this way. The ones that are winning, they care about winning.
Yeah.
They're not worried about satisfying that pocket. So I really think I started looking at like, oh, he's exciting. He's exciting. That's gonna sell tickets. Even with your Asian players.
Yeah,
Luno.
yeah.
Luno.
It's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Luno,
It's
what's
a huge.
up?
It's
Luno,
a
what's
huge
up, Big
market.
Pretty?
It's a
I'm like,
huge
come
Yeah.
market.
on, man.
It's a huge market,
It's a
especially
huge market.
it's not a coincidence that all of them are in California.
Come on,
Yeah,
in
in the
the
West
West
Coast.
Coast. Like, we like, that's why when Yoshida went to the Boston, I'm like, you went to Boston? You left it. You on the
Yeah,
East Coast. I
Yeah.
don't care about
different.
what you talking about as far as they may be Asian. Man, Asian players
California.
go on the
Yeah,
West Coast and they
Yeah.
play because of that market.
guys,
Mhm.
gentlemen, ladies and
It's
gentlemen, this is
real.
the Black Baseball Mixtape. Got to thank our sponsors: Steeler Sports, the
That's
Players
it.
Alliance, Numbers Game Scorecards, Rebellion Harvest Sunflower Seeds, Minority Prospects, Red, Black, and Green Baseball. This is look. We got to stop. We got to stop. Look, we got look.
We
We
gotta
got to keep
stop. We
going.
gotta
We can keep
stop.
going. But we got to stop. We got to
Yeah.
stop the pod right now. This
Yeah.
is what we're gonna do. This is what we're gonna do because Niko, Lou, y'all look, y'all are cooking up something real special. And y'all's podcast, I've seen the clips, I've heard some of the episodes. It is not just sports. It is a really impressive uh platform that you guys are building. So before we get out of here, it's obviously it's been a pleasure. Lou, you already know we're gonna be together real soon. Tell us a little bit about Niko, about the pod, the crew that you have, and what you gentlemen talk about because it's expansive.
Yeah. It's called a Clubhouse Lounge. You can see the sign, man. We got it. A lot of work went into setting up, this whole podcast that we're doing, and it's me, Lou, Emmanuel Hudson, and Mike Wells. And Mike Wells is our moderator, mediator, however you want to say it. Um, and we're really in a space of showing like what we do is not who we are, and so that's
Mhm.
why you'll hear we're more than entertainment, we're more than our occupation, and the people that we decide to bring on. We want them to know that when they leave, and we're trying to expose that to the world to see that you don't always have to have a celebrity on your podcast
Mm-hmm.
to affect someone's life,
Mhm.
right? I need you to see that the same way that me and Lou and Emmanuel as an entertainer, how we handle mental health, how we handle situations, how we handle things going on in the world. It's the same person sitting in this chair that could be a police officer, right? That's going through the same thing but handling it totally different. Now you're exposing their career to somebody to see that, yeah, this police officer is not just out here arresting someone and giving tickets. They're out here changing lives and helping these kids play. They're helping this. It's different people out here doing it in the occupation. Now all of a sudden, this kid is triggered to be a police officer because they saw
Mhm.
that this person sitting here in this police uniform is just more than what they decide to advertise. And so um by the time each guest leaves, they start to have a sense of just like, man, that was good because no one ever asked me that question.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, bro, we all of us are nobodies. Stop trying to sit here and think that because I play baseball and he plays this, that makes us, we all dealing with the same things, right? And that's what it is. And so when you tune in, we're gonna have some celebrities in there, right? But we're also gonna have people that have your everyday jobs that their story still needs to be told, right? They need to have a voice, and we want to do it here. That on this podcast, you have a voice too to change the world, and sometimes people can't see that. So, you can check us out on YouTube,
Yep.
our Instagram. It's the Clubhouse Lounge. Yeah, anything
Spotify, Apple Music, or Apple
Spotify, Apple
Podcasts.
Podcasts, me, Louis, Emmanuel, we all post things. So if you can't even have trouble finding us, we all gonna be posting things on like
Mhm.
the shorts and reels. So it's just something that we want to cook up and be able to give stories to. But we got some things in the work with
Mhm.
some more episodes and some things we're trying to branch off to and do that we still working on. So it's just something exciting that we're doing right now. And with the podcast, and I just started a baseball organization. It's called Chasers Baseball too.
Okay.
So I'm in the works of, like I said, transitioning to that field, and I called it Chasers because me and Lou know it's only 1%. Well, as you know, 1-2% gonna make it to the big leagues.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
we all chasing that. But once you want to be that 1% or that 2%, there's a different level you got to go to.
Yeah.
And so then we separate the organization to your 1%ers. And then from there, you start to realize what it really takes. But also we know that everybody ain't gonna make it. So while you're in Chasers, we still want you to tie into what my foundation is called Do Good Things, where we're trying to create those people that aren't gonna make it into the 2%. We're trying to create you to get an opportunity within athletics to, go to school and become an open heart surgeon or a lawyer or a scientist or whatever you want to do. We know that you can do it with this game of baseball, basketball, whatever it may be, because that was my start. So I got a few things cooking up, but yeah, podcast for sure, man. You can catch us
So the
on
Clubhouse
YouTube.
Lounge, Chasers
sir.
Baseball.
Hey,
There's so much going on, and
yeah, I got some stuff work.
we want to be able to be helpful with it all.
Sure.
We always want to come back and here. Look, Lou, like I said, we could do a part 2, 3, 4. Because look, we just got through the early stages of Niko's career. We didn't really
We
get
didn't get to the middle
yeah.
part. We didn't get to
yeah. So, but brother, I definitely,
Sure.
like I said, everyone at the Mixtape, we really appreciate your gracious amount of time here. This is probably the longest pod we've ever done, Lou. And so we appreciate it, man. We wish you the
man,
best.
no
We want to
doubt.
be able to follow and support, do anything we can on our side, and you obviously people. I always tell my son. I always tell him, people are gonna also know who you are from the company you keep, and
Yeah.
obviously the brothers that you surround yourself with, and brothers like Lou, just genuine people, and that's fantastic. So I know when they tune into the Clubhouse Lounge, they're gonna get some real game and learn a lot and get some insight into kind of the way you guys approach things and how you work through things and learn about you guys and themselves as well as they go through the process. So we wish you the very, very best, Niko, as
I appreciate it.
you go forward.
Appreciate you,
Lou,
Niko.
take us out, Lou. Look, we had so much to talk about. We look, we got to wait another time, Lou. We got baseball topics we got to talk about.
Yeah, my fault. My fault. My
No,
bad.
Man,
This
he
is
was part of
fantastic.
it. He started
We
cooking.
wouldn't have it any other
I
way.
was like, okay, here we
We
go.
wouldn't have it any other way. But we got look, we got the Black Baseball Power Rankings coming out June 1st, Lou. The Black Baseball Power Rankings are coming out June 1st. This is the first time that we're doing this ever on the Black Baseball Mixtape. We've got our panel. They're gonna rank the top 3 Black American-born Black position players and pitchers at every level. You can vote for anyone at any level. I have votes. I saw votes for Kassan Weatherspoon over at Oklahoma as one of the top 3 Black pitchers, right? So it's fantastic. I'm excited about the power rankings.
I was talking the big leagues.
Right. No, so you can do any level, affiliate, and so forth. Because who's it? The number 1 draft pick for the Reds organization, Chase Burns, is every time he touches the mound, he's tearing it up right now. They're looking like a young Hunter Green out there as well. So we know. Now and again, we look. Let's not overthink this. Aaron Judge is probably going to be number 1.
Yes.
But we're going to go through. Look, we're going to go through. And I stole the idea. I'm going to tell you, it's not an original. I stole the idea because I got a lot of friends that follow professional wrestling. And one of those organizations that follow professional wrestling, you would do like every week they do the Black power rankings about the best professional wrestlers, WWE and all of that stuff. And they would rank, because again, they're not percentage wise. If you're looking at 6% of African Americans in baseball, when we looked at like that space in professional wrestling, they had to go beyond WWE and things you saw on TV and to the indies, if you will, and say these are the best Black wrestlers in the top, top 50.
They went through all that.
And I say that to say when we will ultimately expand our Black baseball power list, but you'll start to see names on that list where you're like, oh man, who is that person? I need to really find out who, everybody's talking about Chan now, but Chan, speaking of the Rays organization, Chandler Simpson is a person where he might have been on the list last year. The man scored 100 bases in Double-A.
That's crazy.
So it's like you got to figure these things out. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you guys so much. Thank our special guests. Lou, you already know. We'll be back here very soon on Thursdays. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Black Baseball Mixtape. Thank you for subscribing. We'll catch you next time.